Everyone thought she was mad. They called her a dirty girl, laughed at her torn clothes, and pushed her aside like she didn't exist. On that busy street, she was just another homeless girl people ignored, until one small accident changed everything. The red cap hit the ground. It didn't fall like a normal cap. It dropped like something heavy had been hiding inside it. Chidera's fingers were still in the air, shaking. Her eyes were wide and her mouth was open, but no sound came out. Around them, the busy street in Lagos froze. It was like someone pressed pause on the whole world. Even the hawker who had been shouting, pure water," stopped mid-word. Chief Joseph Okonkwo, the billionaire everyone respected, stood stiff like a statue. His rich native outfit looked perfect. His coral beads shined under the hot afternoon sun. But his face changed. His calm, proud look vanished in 1 second. And what Chidera saw on his head made her heart slam against her ribs so hard it hurt. It wasn't just a scar. It wasn't just hair. It was a mark. A strange, dark mark, shaped like a twisted symbol, like a coiled rope, burned into the side of his scalp, partly hidden under where the red cap had been. And right beside it was another mark, smaller, fainter, but shaped almost the same. Chidera's stomach turned, because she had seen that mark before. Not on him, on herself. Her hand flew to the side of her own head, under her messy hair, near her ear, where a small mark had been there since she was a child, a mark people used to whisper about. A mark that made some women in the market call her bad luck. A mark that made her foster aunt hide her whenever visitors came. Chidera's knees almost gave out. Where did you get that?" she whispered, barely breathing. Chief Joseph's eyes locked onto hers, and the air between them became heavy, like thunder was coming. His security men stepped forward fast, 2 big men in black. One reached for the cap like his life depended on it. The other stared at Chidera like she was a dangerous problem that needed to disappear. "Pick it up," one guard hissed at the other, but their hands were shaking, not angry shaking, fear shaking. Chief Joseph lifted a slow hand, like he wanted to stop them. But his lips were tight, his jaw looked hard, his proud shoulders dropped just a little. And then he spoke. His voice was low, but it cut through the silence like a knife. "Who is your mother?" Chidera blinked. Her throat felt dry. I don't have one," she said, and her voice cracked. "Not anymore." Chief Joseph's eyes narrowed, like he was trying to pull a memory out of deep water. Then his gaze dropped, past her torn dress, past her bare feet, down to her wrist, to the thin rope bracelet on her hand, a cheap bracelet made of black thread. Chidera wore it because it was the only thing she had left from her childhood. When Chief Joseph saw it, his face turned pale. One of the guards grabbed Chidera's arm, hard. "You shouldn't touch him," the guard snapped. Chidera flinched, pain shooting through her elbow. The crowd started to murmur. People leaned in. Phones began to rise. Somebody whispered, "That's Chief Joseph. And why is a street girl touching him?" Another person said, Maybe she is trying to steal." Chidera's chest tightened. She wasn't a thief. She was just hungry, just tired, just trying to survive. But now, with all eyes on her, she felt small. Smaller than she had ever felt. Chief Joseph suddenly stepped forward. "Don't touch her," he said sharply. The guard froze. Chief Joseph bent slightly, picked up his red cap, and held it in his hand. But he didn't put it back on. He stared at Chidera like she was a ghost that had walked out of his past. Then, very slowly, he reached into his pocket and pulled out something. A small, flat object. A photograph. Old, worn. The corners were bent. He looked at the photo, then looked at Chidera, then looked back at the photo again. His lips moved silently, like he was counting years. In Chidera's heart pounded. "What is that?" she asked, her voice shaking. Chief Joseph didn't answer immediately. Instead, he held the photo up. The crowd tried to peek, but Chidera saw it clearly. A woman. Young, beautiful, smiling softly, and in her arms, a baby girl. The baby had a tiny black thread bracelet on her wrist, the same kind Chidera was wearing now. Chidera's breath caught, her eyes filled with tears before she even understood why. "That baby?" Chidera whispered. Chief Joseph's eyes looked wet for the first time. He swallowed hard. "That baby," he said, voice rough, "is supposed to be dead." The street erupted in shocked whispers. Dead. Chidera's mind spun. She didn't even know her real story. All she knew was hunger, and streets, and people who passed her like she was air. And now this powerful man was saying something that made no sense. And the mark on his head, the mark on her head, the bracelet, the photo. Everything was connecting like pieces of a puzzle she never asked to solve. One of the guards leaned close to Chief Joseph and whispered urgently, "Chief, we should leave, now." Chief Joseph ignored him. His eyes never left Chidera. He took one step closer, then stopped, like he was afraid to come too close. "Tell me your name," he said. "Chidera," she whispered. Chief Joseph closed his eyes for half a second, like the name hit him somewhere deep inside. Then he opened them again. His voice dropped even lower. "Chidera, who gave you that bracelet?" Chidera's fingers trembled as she held the thread on her wrist. My mother," she said slowly. Before she disappeared." Chief Joseph's face tightened. "Where did she disappear?" he asked. Chidera shook her head quickly. "I don't know. I was small. They said she ran away. My aunt said she was a shameful woman. She never let me talk about her." Chief Joseph's hand clenched around the cap. His security men looked nervous, glancing at the crowd, at their phones, at each other. Because this wasn't just a small street moment anymore. This was becoming a scene. A dangerous scene. Then something happened. A black SUV rolled up slowly behind Chief Joseph, the kind of SUV that screams money. The back window lowered a little, and a woman's voice came out, calm, cold, and familiar, like she had been listening the whole time. "Joseph," the voice said, "why are you talking to that girl?" Chief Joseph stiffened. His guard snapped to attention. Chidera turned and saw a woman inside the SUV. Elegant, expensive, her lipstick perfect, her eyes sharp like they could cut glass. She stared at Chidera with something that wasn't surprise. It was fear. Pure fear. But she hid it quickly under a fake smile. Then she spoke again, louder this time. "Joseph, you put your cap back on and enter the car, now." Chief Joseph didn't move. He stared at the woman like she had just revealed herself. The crowd murmured again. Chidera's heart started beating harder, because the way the woman looked at her. It wasn't the way a normal rich person looks at a homeless child. It was the way someone looks at a problem they thought they buried. Chief Joseph's voice turned cold. "Madam Eunice," he said slowly, "do you know this girl?" The woman's smile froze. Just for 1 second, but Chidera saw it, and that 1 second felt like a door opening into something dark. Madam Eunice forced a laugh. "Of course not," she said quickly. "She's just a dirty street girl. She touched you. Let's go." Chief Joseph stepped back from the SUV. His eyes never left Madam Eunice. Then he looked at Chidera again, and he said the words that made the whole street feel like it was about to explode. "Bring her with us." Madam Eunice's face dropped. "What?" she snapped. Chief Joseph's guards looked confused. Chidera's mouth opened in shock. "Me?" she whispered. Chief Joseph nodded once, firm. "Yes," he said, "because I think someone lied to me for years." Madam Eunice's eyes flashed with anger. Then, under that anger, something even worse appeared. Panic. She leaned forward inside the SUV, her voice sharp like a warning. "Joseph, don't do this here, not in front of people." But it was too late. People were already recording, already whispering, already pointing. Chidera felt dizzy. A billionaire wanted to take her, the girl everyone ignored, into his car. And the woman in the SUV looked like she wanted Chidera to vanish from the earth. Chief Joseph turned to his guards. "Clear the way," he ordered. One guard grabbed Chidera's arm again, this time not rough, but firm, like she was important. Chidera stumbled forward. Her bare feet hit the hot ground. Her heart pounded, and as she got closer to the SUV, she heard Madam Eunice whisper something under her breath. So low only Chidera caught it. This should have stayed buried. Chidera froze. Her blood ran cold, because now she knew. This wasn't an accident anymore. This wasn't just a cap falling. This was a secret, and she was the secret. And whatever happened next was going to change everything. The SUV doors refused to open. Chidera stood there, frozen, her bare feet burning on the hot road, her heart pounding so loud she was sure everyone could hear it. The shiny black door handle didn't move no matter how hard the guard pulled. Inside the car, Madam Eunice's hand was still raised. The small shining object she had pulled from her bag was now clear. It was a phone, but not just any phone. It was old, scratched, and wrapped tightly with black tape around the edges, like it had been hidden, used in secret, and never meant to be seen. Chief Joseph's shout echoed again. "Eunice, put that down!" Madam Eunice's calm mask was gone. Her eyes were wild now. "Joseph, listen to me," she said quickly, her voice shaking just a little. "This girl is dangerous. She's confused. She wants money. That's all." Chidera's throat tightened. "I don't want money," she whispered, but nobody heard her. A billionaire standing in front of a homeless girl, protecting her. The crowd pressed closer. Phones were high in the air now. A woman shouted, "Why is she scared like that?" Another voice said, "Why won't the car open?" Chief Joseph stepped between Chidera and the SUV, blocking her with his body. That alone shocked everyone. Chief Joseph looked straight at Madame Eunice. "What is on that phone?" he asked slowly. Madame Eunice laughed, a sharp, fake laugh. "Nothing. Old pictures, old rubbish." Chief Joseph's eyes hardened. "Then give it to me." Silence. The driver inside the SUV shifted nervously. Madame Eunice clutched the phone tighter. "No," she said firmly. Chief Joseph inhaled deeply. The way he breathed told Chidera this wasn't just anger. It was fear mixed with regret. "Open the doors," he ordered the driver. The driver shook his head slightly. Madame Eunice snapped, "Don't you dare!" The guards looked confused, stuck between orders. The street buzzed like a disturbed beehive. Then something unexpected happened. Chidera spoke. Her voice was small, but it cut through the noise. "That phone," she said softly, "belongs to my mother." Everyone froze again. Madame Eunice's head snapped toward her. "What did you say?" she demanded. Chidera swallowed. "I've seen it before," she said, her hands shaking. "My mother used to hide a phone like that. She wrapped it with black tape so it wouldn't break. She said it had the truth inside." Chief Joseph's eyes widened. "What truth?" he asked quickly. Chidera looked down. "She said if anything happened to her, I should never forget my name, and I should never forget the mark." Her fingers moved to the side of her head. Chief Joseph did the same place, same motion. Madame Eunice let out a sharp breath. "That's enough," she shouted. "Joseph, this is nonsense. She's lying." But her voice was cracking now. The crowd felt it. Something was wrong, very wrong. Chief Joseph stepped closer to the SUV window. "Eunice," he said quietly, "how did you meet me?" Madame Eunice blinked, confused. "What kind of question is that?" "Answer me." She rolled her eyes. "At the hospital, after the fire." "You were injured." Chidera's heart skipped. Fire. She remembered fire. Not clearly, but screams, smoke, and heat haunted her dreams. Chief Joseph nodded slowly. "And who brought me out?" he asked. Madame Eunice hesitated. You were found outside," she said. "The nurses said someone pulled you out before the building collapsed." Chief Joseph's lips trembled. "Someone," he repeated. He turned to Chidera. "Do you remember a fire?" he asked gently. Chidera closed her eyes. Her chest tightened. "Yes," she whispered. "I remember holding someone's hand. A man. He was bleeding. My mother told me not to let go." Madame Eunice screamed, "Stop this!" Her scream made people jump. She reached forward suddenly and pressed something on the phone screen. Chief Joseph reacted fast. "Don't!" Too late. A loud sound burst from the phone, a voice, a woman's voice, weak, crying. "My name is Amaka Okorie," the voice said. "If anyone finds this, please listen." Chidera gasped. "That's her," she whispered. "That's my mother." The crowd went wild. Murmurs turned into gasps. Phones shook as people tried to record better. The voice continued, shaky but clear. "They are trying to kill us. The fire was planned. They said the child must not survive. Joseph must not remember. If he remembers, everything will end." Madame Eunice lunged forward. "Turn it off," she screamed at the driver. Chief Joseph reached into the car through the open window and grabbed the phone. Madame Eunice tried to pull it back. For a second they struggled. Then the phone slipped and fell straight into Chief Joseph's hands. The voice continued playing. If Joseph lives," Amaka's voice cried, "tell him the girl with the mark is his child." The street exploded. People screamed. Some covered their mouths, others shouted, "Jesus!" Chidera felt the world tilt. His child? She looked at Chief Joseph. He looked at her, his eyes filled with tears. He whispered, "I never knew." Madame Eunice let out a low, broken sound. "No," she muttered. "No, no, no." She looked around wildly. This was no longer something she could control. Chief Joseph straightened. His voice changed. It was no longer soft. It was the voice people feared in boardrooms and courtrooms. "Madame Eunice," he said coldly, "you lied to me. You hid my memory. You hid my child." Madame Eunice's face twisted. "She would have ruined everything," she shouted. "Your reputation, your future." That woman was nothing." Chidera flinched. Chief Joseph stepped forward sharply. "She saved my life," he said, "and you tried to erase hers." Madame Eunice laughed bitterly. "You think this ends here?" she hissed. "Do you know how many people are involved?" Chief Joseph froze. Chidera's heart dropped. "Involved? How many?" he asked quietly. Madame Eunice smiled, a dangerous smile. "Enough," she said, "to make this very ugly." Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called the police. The crowd parted as officers pushed through. Madame Eunice leaned back in her seat, suddenly calm again. "You can't touch me," she said smoothly. "I've planned this for years." Chief Joseph turned to Chidera. His voice softened again. Stay close to me, he said. No matter what happens. Before Chidera could answer, Madame Eunice leaned forward and whispered loudly enough for only them to hear. If you think the fire was the worst thing, wait till you find out what happened after. Chidera's stomach dropped. What do you mean? She whispered. Madame Eunice smiled, and the police officer shouted, Everyone step back. As the handcuffs came out, Madame Eunice's eyes locked onto Chidera's, and she mouthed 3 words that made Chidera's blood run cold. She is not alone. The police siren faded into the distance, but the silence it left behind felt louder than noise. Chidera sat in the back seat of Chief Joseph's SUV, her hands folded tightly on her lap. The leather seat felt strange against her skin. Everything smelled clean, too clean for someone who had slept under bridges and shop fronts. Across from her, Chief Joseph sat stiffly, though he had put the red cap back on, but not properly. It sat loose on his head, like he no longer trusted it. Neither of them spoke. The city rushed past the tinted windows, markets, buses, people shouting, life moving on like nothing had just happened. But Chidera's world had stopped. You're my child. The words kept repeating in her head, even though Chief Joseph had not said them out loud again. She glanced at him. He looked older now. Not weak, just heavy, like a man carrying years of regret on his shoulders. Finally, he spoke. Do you know where we're going? Chidera shook her head slowly. My house, he said. Not the big one people know, the old one. Her stomach tightened. A house, a real house. Not cardboard, not concrete floors, not rain dripping on her face at night. The car turned into a quiet street lined with tall trees. No noise, no hawkers, no crowds. The gate opened slowly. As they drove in, Chidera noticed something strange. The house looked forgotten. Dusty windows, paint peeling in places, like it had been closed for a long time. This is where I lived before the fire, Chief Joseph said softly, before everything changed. The car stopped. The guard stepped out first, scanning the area like danger could still be hiding in the air. Chief Joseph opened his door and stepped out. Then he looked at Chidera and held out his hand. She hesitated. No man had ever offered her his hand like that. Carefully, respectfully, she placed her small, rough hand in his. The moment their skin touched, something passed between them, warm, painful, and familiar. Inside the house, the air smelled old. Memories lived here. They walked slowly through the living room. Photos covered one wall, Chief Joseph younger, smiling, standing with people Chidera didn't know. Then he stopped. One picture made him freeze. A woman stood beside him in the photo, young, bright eyes, soft smile, her hand rested on her belly. Chidera's breath caught. That's her, she whispered. Chief Joseph nodded, eyes shining. Amaka, he said, your mother. Chidera stepped closer. She touched the photo gently, like it might disappear. She used to sing, Chidera said quietly. At night, even when we were hungry. Chief Joseph closed his eyes. She always sang, he said, even when she was scared. Silence filled the room again. Then Chief Joseph spoke, voice breaking. I thought she died in that fire. Eunice told me she didn't make it. She told me the baby didn't survive. Chidera's chest hurt. I survived, she said softly. Yes, he replied. You did. He turned to her. I failed you, he said. Chidera didn't know what to say. Part of her wanted to cry. Another part wanted to scream. Another part wanted to run away before this dream broke. Before she could answer, a guard rushed in. Chief, he said urgently, there's something you need to see. Chief Joseph stiffened. What is it? The guard held up a tablet. On the screen was a video already spreading online. The moment, the cap, the phone, the voice. Chidera's face, millions of views, comments flying fast. Is that his daughter? Cover-up exposed. Who is the girl? She looks scared. Chief Joseph's jaw tightened. Oh, it's already out, he said quietly. Yes, the guard replied, and Madame Eunice's lawyers are moving fast. Chidera felt cold. What does that mean? She asked. Chief Joseph turned to her. It means people will come for you, he said honestly. Not because of who you are, but because of what you represent. She swallowed. I don't want trouble, she whispered. I know, he said, but truth brings trouble before it brings peace. He looked at the guard. Bring the box. The guard hesitated. Sir, are you sure? Chief Joseph nodded once. Yes. The guard left and returned with a small metal box. Old, locked. Chief Joseph placed it on the table between them. This box, he said, was given to me by Amaka before the fire. Chidera's heart skipped. She told me, he continued, never to open it unless I saw the mark again. Slowly, he unlocked it. Inside were documents, photos, letters, and one folded paper on top. Chief Joseph opened it with shaking hands and began to read. His face drained of color. Chidera leaned forward. "What is it?" she asked. Chief Joseph looked at her, eyes wide. "This," he said slowly, "says the fire was not just planned." Chidera's breath caught. "It says," he continued, "there was a second plan. A plan for after the fire." Chidera felt her skin prickle. "What plan?" Chief Joseph swallowed hard. "To make sure you never came back to me." Before he could say more, the house lights suddenly flickered. Once, twice, then went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Chidera gasped. The guards shouted outside. "Power just went off." Chief Joseph stood quickly. "Stay here," he ordered. But before anyone could move, a loud bang echoed from the back of the house. Glass shattered. Chidera screamed. Footsteps. Fast. Heavy. Someone was inside. Chief Joseph grabbed Chidera and pulled her behind him. "Get her out," he shouted to the guards. But it was too late. A shadow stepped into the dim light of the hallway. A man, tall, calm, smiling. He clapped slowly. "Well done, Joseph," the man said. "You finally opened the box." Chief Joseph's face went cold. He said, "you were supposed to be dead." The man chuckled. "So was the girl." Chidera's heart nearly stopped. The man's eyes moved to her, sharp, knowing. "And yet," he said softly, "here she is." He raised his hand. The guards froze. Then he said the words that shattered what little safety Chidera felt left. "Bring the child to me. Bring the child to me." The words hung in the dark, like a threat you could touch. Chidera felt Chief Joseph's arm tighten around her shoulders. His body shifted slightly, placing himself fully between her and the man standing in the hallway. "No," Chief Joseph said firmly, "you're not touching her." The man laughed softly, a calm laugh, the kind that didn't rush because it believed it had time. "Joseph," the man said, taking one slow step forward, "you've always been dramatic. I didn't come here for a fight." One of the guards raised his weapon. The man lifted a finger. "Careful," he said. "If you shoot, the truth dies with me." The guard froze. Chief Joseph's jaw clenched. "What do you want?" he asked. The man smiled wider. "Answers, and a clean ending." The emergency lights flickered on, bathing the room in a dull red glow. It was enough for Chidera to finally see the man clearly. He was well dressed, expensive shirt, clean shoes, not a street criminal, not a madman. This was someone who belonged in offices, not shadows. "Who is he?" Chidera whispered. Chief Joseph didn't take his eyes off the man. "His name is Mr. Adekunle," he said, "my former business partner." Adekunle placed a hand on his chest and bowed slightly. Former is such a painful word. Chidera's heart beat faster. Adekunle looked at her directly now, not cruel, not kind, just curious. "So," he said gently, "you're Chidera." Her stomach dropped. You know my name?" she asked. "Of course," he replied. "Ah, I've known it for years," Chief Joseph snapped. "Don't talk to her." Adekunle raised both hands. "Relax, I'm only stating facts." He took another step closer. Chidera shrank back. "You see," Adekunle continued, "when the fire failed to do its job, plans had to change." Chief Joseph's voice shook with anger. "You planned the fire?" Adekunle nodded calmly. "Yes." The word hit the room like a slap. "You burned a building," Chief Joseph said, "with people inside." Adekunle shrugged. "Sacrifices." Chidera felt sick. "My mother," she whispered. Adekunle looked at her. "She was brave," he said. "Too brave. Brave people cause problems." Tears filled Chidera's eyes. Chief Joseph lunged forward. The guards reacted instantly, blocking Adekunle. "Get out of my house," Chief Joseph growled. Adekunle laughed again. "Your house? This house exists because of me." That stopped everyone. Adekunle turned to the guards. "Gentlemen, you might want to check your phones." One guard hesitated, then looked. His face changed. "What is it?" Chief Joseph demanded. The guard swallowed. "Sir, our bank alerts, our accounts, they're frozen." Another guard checked his phone. "Mine too." Adekunle smiled. "Loyalty becomes expensive when money disappears." Chief Joseph's fists clenched. "What do you want from her?" he asked, pointing to Chidera. Adekunle's smile faded. "I want what she represents to disappear," he said flatly. Chidera's breath caught. "She is proof," Adekunle continued, "proof that you survived, proof that Amaka lived longer than planned, proof that Eunice failed." Chief Joseph stiffened. "Eunice." Adekunle nodded. "She was useful. Until today." "So you sent her," Chief Joseph said. "I used her," Adekunle corrected. "She was afraid of losing you. Fear makes people obedient." Chidera's knees felt weak. "Why me?" she whispered. "I did nothing." Adekunle looked at her with something like pity. "That's the problem," he said. "You did nothing. Yet you undo everything." Sirens sounded far away again. Adekunle glanced toward the window. "Time is moving," he said. "Joseph, I'll be honest." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Give me the girl, and this ends quietly. She disappears. The story becomes confusion. People forget." Chidera gasped. Chief Joseph's voice was ice. "And if I refuse?" Adekunle smiled slowly. "Then the next fire won't miss?" Silence crashed over the room. Chidera shook. Chief Joseph turned to her, his eyes softened. "I won't give you to him," he said quietly. "Ever." Adekunle sighed. Such a shame. Suddenly, a loud crash came from the front of the house. Glass shattered. Shouts filled the air. "Intruders!" More footsteps, more shadows. Adekunle stepped back, satisfied. "I warned you," he said. Chief Joseph grabbed Chidera's hand. "Follow me," he said urgently. They ran down a narrow hallway, behind them shouting. Doors slammed. Chidera's feet hurt, but she didn't stop. They reached a small room at the back. Chief Joseph pulled open a hidden door behind a bookshelf. A passage. "Inside," he said. Chidera hesitated. "What about you?" she asked. He looked at her, eyes full. "I'll hold them," he said. "You must survive." "No," she cried, grabbing his arm. "I won't leave you." Adekunle's voice echoed down the hall. "Joseph, time's up." Chief Joseph pushed Chidera gently into the passage. "Go," he whispered. "For your mother." Tears streamed down Chidera's face. She stepped inside. The door closed behind her. Darkness. She heard shouting. A gunshot. She screamed silently. The passage opened into a small underground room. Dusty. Cold. A single light flickered on. Chidera looked around and froze. She was not alone. A woman sat on the floor, hands tied, eyes bruised. The woman looked up slowly. Their eyes met. Chidera's heart stopped. The woman whispered, her voice weak but familiar. "Chidera, my child." The words felt unreal, or like something Chidera had dreamed 1,000 times and forced herself to forget. Her legs gave way. She dropped to her knees in front of the woman, staring at her face, thin, bruised, tired, but painfully familiar. "Mama?" Chidera whispered. The woman nodded weakly, tears slipping down her cheeks. "It's me," she said, "Amaka." Chidera cried out and threw her arms around her mother. She felt bones, felt weakness, felt life. She was warm, she was real, she was alive. For a moment, the world outside, the shouting, the danger, the guns, did not matter. All that mattered was that the fire had not taken everything. But the moment didn't last. A loud bang echoed above them. Footsteps thundered. Voices shouted Chief Joseph's name. Chidera pulled back, fear rushing in again. "Mama," she cried. "We have to go." Amaka shook her head slowly. "I can't," she said. "My leg, they broke it. I haven't walked in months." Chidera's chest tightened. "No," she said firmly. "I won't leave you." Amaka reached up and touched her face. "You are brave," she said softly, "just like I hoped." Then she looked past Chidera, toward the hidden door, and her face changed. Fear returned. "They found us," she whispered. The hidden door creaked. Light spilled into the small room. A shadow filled the doorway. Adekunle. He smiled when he saw them. "Well," he said calmly, "the fire really failed, didn't it?" Chidera stood up, shaking but determined, standing in front of her mother. "You won't touch her," she said. Adekunle laughed. "Ah, you're still a child," before he could step in. "Step away from them." Chief Joseph's voice exploded through the room. Adekunle froze. Chief Joseph stood in the doorway behind him, blood on his sleeve, his face hard with fury. 2 police officers rushed in after him. "Hands up," one shouted. Adekunle turned slowly. "You're too late," he said calmly. "The truth is already damaged." Chief Joseph stepped forward. "No," he said. "The truth is finally breathing." Adekunle tried to move. A gun clicked, then another. He stopped. Slowly, police handcuffs snapped shut around his wrists. Adekunle looked at Amaka one last time. "You should have stayed dead," he said coldly. Amaka lifted her chin. "You tried to bury the truth," she replied, "but truth grows roots." Adekunle was dragged away, shouting as the police took him out. A silence returned, heavy. Then Chief Joseph turned to Chidera and Amaka. For the first time, he fell to his knees. "I am sorry," he said, voice breaking. "I believed lies. I let fear blind me." Amaka looked at him for a long moment. Then she said quietly, "You were injured, confused. They used that." She reached out and touched his face. "But today," she continued, "you chose us." Tears ran freely down Chief Joseph's face. Outside, the sun began to rise. By morning, the whole country knew. The video had spread everywhere. The fire, the cover-up, the child who survived, the billionaire who lost his memory, the woman who was meant to disappear. Madame Eunice was arrested. More names followed. Big names, powerful names, people who thought money could erase the past. Chidera and her mother were taken somewhere safe. And doctors treated Amaka. Food filled Chidera's stomach for the first time in years. Not scraps, not pity, but care. Days later, Chief Joseph visited them. Not in rich native wear, not with guards, just a man, a father. He sat beside Chidera on the hospital bed. "I don't know how to fix the past," he said gently. "But if you allow me, I want to be here for your future." Chidera looked at him. The streets had taught her not to trust easily, but her heart remembered something older than fear. She nodded slowly. "I just want my mama," she said. Chief Joseph smiled through tears. "You'll always have her," he said. "And now, you'll have me too." The red cap rested quietly on the table. No secrets under it anymore, because the truth had finally come into the light. And the fire that was meant to destroy a family had instead revealed one. If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.